that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. I was asked a question that I'm sort of using as the space for you to be thinking about asking your own questions about choosing hope. Back in November, that was pretty heavy, right? About theodicy, why does God permit evil? And so I was hoping to lighten it a little bit with some feathery images, hence the story and the reading. And at the back, there is also a graphic of wings. And I was hoping that people would feel free, please do feel free, don't not stand up because of me, to get up and write something about what gives you hope, where are you finding hope, just notes of hope on the wings that I'm hoping that we will get to hang up at some point in time miraculously. I will note that when they were doing the exercise at Tri-UU, it was going really well, and people were like writing like whole sentences, which is great, except that it also is bleeding. So I don't know how well that will continue to maintain. So maybe think in terms of words or phrases as opposed to small little whole sentences or paragraphs about hope. So again, you are welcome to ask questions, but I wanted to start off with this heavy question of theodicy, which people keep asking me about Homer, not the Odyssey, which is why God allows evil in the world. And I did wrestle with this for like a few minutes, and then I was like, that's a terrible question. So the context of it was Hurricane Melissa was on her way through the Caribbean and struck Jamaica, obviously, and Cuba and Haiti. And I did try earnestly for a little while to wrestle with the question. And then I was like, this is a terrible framework. And it doesn't resonate for me at all. So I rejected the whole thing. And the reason why is because I don't think that God intends to punish people in this life. I don't think that the whole idea of people being punished by, some extra terrestrial, I guess, technically, force is, it does not sit well with me. As I think about, so for example, not evil, but in my other congregation, your sibling congregation, one of our members just lost a baby in the family. And I don't think that there's anything that we could possibly say that would be like, oh, well, that's justified, right? That's not justified. It's deeply sorrowful. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking. It hurts my heart to even be thinking about it right now. And so as universalists, we ultimately believe in a loving God. And so the idea that this God that we believe to be all loving is allowing or creating or actually punishing us for anything in this life is just, I don't know. It does not sit well with me. And I think, if God is the idea of universalism, that we all go to heaven, we don't believe in hell. If we don't believe in hell and an afterlife, why are we making hell part of our lived experience right now? So that is my answer. And I'm happy to say more about that if anybody wants me to, but that's sort of a starter question to allow you to think of questions that you might like to ask about hope at this time. And the mic will be around. Anybody? Thank you, Betty.
It'll be just a minute.
Okay, it'll be just a second. And you know what? Say it and I'll repeat it.
This has been a very hard year for me. The congregation is very well aware. And I am struggling every day with choosing hope. So I am, even this morning, before even knowing what the topic was going to be for service today, I'm thinking to myself, how do I choose hope? But that wasn't the exact word, but it was the same idea. How do I find a way to move forward and find joy and happiness? Because it's really hard when you have life events that impact you. I'm not the only one who's had life impacts this year. I've talked to other people who've had horrific things happen. So, I mean, how do you choose hope? And I think you have to choose it. It's choice. And I'm struggling with that every day.
Yeah, thank you. So I think everybody heard enough of what she was saying. She's had a very difficult year, as many of us know, and she's struggling with the question of how to choose hope every day. I do think sometimes it really is a choice. I mean, there are also times in our lives when it's not, right? We just feel hopeful. But yes, there are definitely times in our lives when it is a choice. So part of what the question raises for me is that I think sometimes, actually I know it happens a lot. It's not just sometimes, it happens a lot where I think in part because of our language, so like I'll say, somebody has broken his elbow, right? And, I hope you feel better soon. Like, there's nothing that I can do to make that happen. And so there's this idea that hope, in part, is about wishfulness, which is not really the case. Hope is a feeling that we have, but science has demonstrated that when you're feeling hopeful, there are particular parts of your brain that activate. So part of our brain that helps us feel like we're that's oriented to goal setting and to us having agency and other things is activated at the same time when we're feeling hopeful. So the sort of wish-washiness of optimism, I think it can get conflated with hope sometimes. I did a service once, I think, a few years ago that I titled Hope as Commitment. That it's a commitment. It's a muscle that we can have and that we may feel like we need to exercise at certain points in our life. My biggest question would be one that I've written for our covenant group for this month, which is, where do you turn? Have there been places that you have turned in your life when you have been in a place of hopelessness, of despairing, of deep heartbreak? And how did you overcome that would be my first question. And it's probably also my question as a chaplain, thinking about that. That being said, I also think that one of the other questions that came up earlier for me, the other service, was around, I mentioned redemption and salvation about something else, and somebody asked me about that, and I think I really believe and have for my entire life that we save each other. And so being able to show up in community, to be able to show up with your family, to be able to show up in those places that keep your heart, even if the fire of hope isn't kindled and burning bright, that it's still like, smoking ashes kind of situation. You might just keep poking at for a little while. And hopefully any of that was helpful. But also I want to say, I hope it eases soon.
My name is Fritz Offenkamp, and what gives me hope is that when I look over the history of civilization, it's evident and obvious to me that the moral arc of the universe does move forward, though ever so slowly.
And that being said, as Barack Obama added, it bends because we move it, right? It doesn't just happen, right? We don't just make progress and everything is better. It happens because we've actually done the work for making it happen. Yeah. And for people who don't know, I know many of you are familiar that is an extract of a Martin Luther King quote, and that quote was borrowed from our own Unitarian ancestor, Theodore Parker.
I'm sitting here thinking that everybody's thinking about long life is better life. Here? Okay. What if this life sucks in comparative to where we're going or where we end up? Maybe this isn't the pinnacle of existence. Maybe we have to come here a little while and then go someplace better. So it strikes me interesting that everybody thinks long life is better, but I don't know, maybe this is just a trial and where we're going is better. So you know
maybe
what I
this
mean?
is the bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who have seen the good place.
Maybe this is just
That this is the bad place.
This
is the bad place.
referring to the television show.
Referring to the television show. A colleague shared with me a while back that her spouse was also clergy. They turn to each other when there's the news or whatever on, and something, terrible, ridiculous happens. They just look at each other and go, "This is the bad place." Yeah, I mean, who knows? And not necessarily like bad, but not necessarily, but sort of in the sense of it's definitely not the good place, right? Yeah, I mean, we have no idea. None of us knows what happens after we die. I'm sure there are people who, and probably among you, who have opinions about, or ideas, or experiences even about what happens after we die based on perhaps near-death experiences. But I kind of have been leaning a lot, maybe this last year more than usual, but also for my own reasons, about the idea that, well, before I get into that, I will say that Unitarian Universalists tend to be very present, very now, very this worldly oriented, just in general. But I think that there's really something to the idea that my hope is that wherever we go, we all go together. And I have just been really reflecting a lot this last year or so on the idea from John Murray, one of our ancestors, who brought Universalism to America, and his belief that if we are all meant to end up someplace together on the other side of the veil, that we should practice living in better relationship with one another while we're here. And so that's the thing that I hold on to. I don't know if this is the good place or the bad place or some other place, but for me, that's really the thing that keeps coming to mind for me.
It just dawned on me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It just dawned on me that hope and faith are two different things, or prayer. When I hope for something, it's that something happens that's good. Like, oh, I hope this happens, and it's a good thing. I never thought of, I hope that I get well, or I hope that this bad thing goes away. It's always something that's going to happen. It's good. Oh, I hope that horse wins, or something. But now if something's bad, like sick, or heartbreaking. Then it's like, God, make it well, or I have the faith that it's going to happen. So to me, hope is different. Hope is happiness that something's good's going to come out of it. So that's what hope means for me.
Thank you. I just want to also add that thinking about the quote that I sometimes use about where's the road called hope, and the philosopher replies that it does not exist, but as people move upon it, it comes into being. Part of the reason why I appreciate that quote so much, and I've used it for a lot of my ministry and really value it, is because of that idea that it doesn't, hope isn't just there, right? You have to put something into it to make it into wherever you're hoping to, which is why, our language makes it a little bit challenging. Going back to the example of Doug's elbow, I can't do anything, right? If I could, I would. But I really think that sometimes there is that conflation where people get what I perceive as being confused between hope and optimism. Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that I've played with a lot is role playing. And when I get to the point where I'm so low, I don't think I can ever get out of the depth of lowness that I'm in. I just think to myself, I'm going to act like something good is going to happen. I'm going to smile, and I'm going to act like everything is going to be okay. And it's amazing when you actually do that. All of a sudden, you feel better. The big thing is don't get too isolated. But if you're not isolated and you're coming across other people, if you come here, act like you want to be, and all of a sudden you'll turn into what you want to be.
Yes, fake it till you make it. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
To smile.
And I'll of course there's exceptions to that. There's if you're in deep depression, if you got psychiatric things that are going on, that will get you so far. But still, it will carry you for a bit.
I'm Bill Davenhall, and I've always believed that hope is a verb. It's not a noun, and I guess it's an active verb for you teachers of English. It's like love. Love is a verb to me. So it's what you do with that word that pretty much drives what you think about it. So I often say, what are our responses to days that are hopeless? Well, we say things like, well, it could have been worse, okay, which is a strategy to dig out of this hole, Russ, perhaps, right? Could have been worse. In business, we have a phrase we've used over and over again. Hope is not a strategy. Think about that. It is not a strategy. So if you tell your boss you hope that business will be really good, they're going to look at you kind of odd and say, they're going to repeat to you, hope is not a strategy. Okay, you either are hopeful or you're not hopeful. So I would say part of this is in our own control. So if you go around thinking that everything is hopeless and have no tools that you can bring into play to change your verb, make your verb active, it's sort of like the same thing with love. I mean, if I were to ask everybody what their definition of love is, there would be a lot of different definitions. And I would say there are times when my hope is that something bad will happen to somebody else. I know that sounds strange, and I know what you might be thinking. So I would say we got to be careful with the use of this word because they're not interchangeable. So love, hate, hope are all these action kind of verbs that sort of guide ourselves. Thank you.
Doug has a comment from the Zoomers.
Okay.
Yes, on Zoom, Liz Morton just made a comment here. She says, I believe that we have the gift of free will, and with that, God has nothing to do with the bad things that happen. I believe that God is there to help us get through when bad things happen.
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, I very much agree that, I probably should have started with the whole premise of the fact that I'm a non-theist. So for me, the whole idea of God intervening is a little, I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. But also, yes, I believe that things happen. And, hurricanes like that we've been seeing regularly for the last however many chunk of years with the excessive Cat 5s, and that is human, right? We have been the ones that have instigated that, and so one of the challenges that I find in particular is that we are creating this problem for ourselves. And I've talked before, and I'll probably talk again in the future, maybe toward Easter or something like that. But for me, one of the things about the allowance of evil in the world, the belief in sin as we might think of it, for me, comes from when we turn our backs on each other. And then we are saved when we turn back toward each other. So the idea when people are acting exceptionally, that that people are identifying themselves as individualistic, as outside of community, or creating some rogue kind of community or whatever, that is a turning away from all of us. And it is only when we turn our back around to be invited back into community that we have that experience of redemption or salvation. There's something else as Bill was talking I was thinking of, but I think it's gone now. Perhaps you're welcome. I think we have time for maybe one more. Anybody else? Yeah, Joey.
So fake it till you make it is, when I was studying psychology, it's demonstrable and it's been studied. It works. It actually works. There was a study with depression. You sit in front of a mirror and pretend to be happy, and it changes your brain chemistry. So I'm more of a scientist, and I didn't do my homework. I didn't know this would be the subject today. But back in the 80s, a book came out, and it was a double-blind study, and it had to do with healing and prayer and hope. But it was a double-blind study, and it was significant. The results were significant. And physics tells us that energy precedes matter. And what is hope but pure energy? And I think the question is, why do we not hope? Why do we feel hopeless? Why do we not allow our hearts to be filled with whatever? And we're usually focused on something physical, something to be manifest, or, And so it's not like ordering on Amazon and it comes the next day. You have to be patient. And we don't want our hearts broken. And so we get cynical. Oh, it's never going to happen. And so we don't want to be, be disappointed. So we give it up. So, I think it's a practice, like everybody was saying, just like gratitude. It's a practice. And I don't think the energy's ever wasted because you're putting it out there in the universe. Who hasn't been thinking about somebody and they call you? Anyway.
Yeah, that reminded me, I kind of skipped most of the articles about how to build hopefulness. But there are plenty of those, and I did see repeated a lot. Anchoring in gratitude practices is really helpful for restoring a sense of hope. Okay, all right. Closing hymn. Yeah, if you would please rise and lift your voice in song with me for our closing hymn, Wake Now My Senses.